Hey guys, if you're new here, my name's Ian, and if you're not, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about one of Apple's currently most neglected product lineups besides AirPods, and that is the iPad. So we have not gotten a new iPad in over 500 days now, and it appears that it's not even launching in the month of March, as the month of March is over in 3 days now. And it's very interesting, as we got no iPads in 2023. The last time we got an iPad update was in November of 2022, which was the 10th generation iPad. And while this iPad was a great upgrade, the fact that Apple hasn't even given any new Pro, Airs, or regular iPad, or even the Mini to consumers is definitely kind of leaving the market in such a weird place for iPads, as I know a lot of people who have gone out and bought, M1 iPad Airs or even, M2 iPad Pros because they need an iPad and they don't want to wait for the latest and greatest because we don't even know when that's coming out anymore. But they still do want an iPad that can handle all of their needs. And now there's been rumors going around for a while that we would get new iPads this month in March, and that hasn't happened. So whenever they come out, the new rumors are now saying May, and personally I think at that point they might just wait till WWDC to announce them, which I definitely think is kind of leaving the market in such a weird spot, as at that point you're almost going to be reaching 600 days now, and some iPads are already at 600 days, as my iPad Air 5th generation with the M1 chip is officially 2 years old and 2 days as of 2 days ago. And this thing is held up great. I mean, I would upgrade if it meant getting better battery life for my iPad, because I feel like this is always dying on me. That's my one complaint about the iPads now, is the fact that they're always dying. And now the iPad Pro and the iPad Air are supposed to come in a bunch of new screen sizes. So the iPad Pro come in 11 inches, which is staying the same from the previous iPad Pro, but a new 13-inch size, which is a little bigger than the 12.9 inches. And both of these are going to have OLED displays, which is essentially going to make the screen a lot brighter, and you'll have deeper blacks. So if you have an iPhone 12 or later, you're going to have an OLED screen in that phone. So essentially that is going to be brought over to the iPads now. And personally, I'm here for it because that would also mean getting better battery life. And there's also maybe a matte screen option. So instead of the glossy reflective option like we have now with the iPad, so if we get the light, how it's very reflective like this, it'll no longer be reflective like that with the iPad Pro, because it'll have that matte display and make it very hard to be reflective, almost similar to that of the Studio display. Now, it'll also bring over the M3 chips, which will be the first time we see those on the iPad lineup, and the M3 chip is going to be more than powerful to handle whatever you're throwing at the iPad, because of the fact that the iPads only have iPad OS on them, and iPad OS is in such a weird spot where it's not great, but it's not horrible. And now the front camera is also expected to be moved. Currently, the camera is right here at the top of the iPad, so it's right above the lock symbol on my iPad Air. And whenever I hold it horizontally, the camera either gets covered by my hand, or it just does some software magic to essentially adjust the camera. But most people use their iPads sideways, so the fact that the camera isn't not on the top over here, it's finally happening, Apple says. At least the rumors say, because of the fact that the Apple did do that with the iPad 10th generation. So I think it's going to be a very welcome change, as anyone who has used it on the iPad 10th generation has really loved it, because it just makes using the camera a lot better and almost brings that desktop-like feel. MagSafe charging is also a possibility on the new iPad Pros, and personally I think that would be a great change, although I do wonder if it's going to be like the Mac MagSafe with the 4-pin connector, or if it's going to be like iPhone MagSafe, where you essentially just can have the right ring and attach whatever you would want to it. I think it's probably going to be leaning towards the latter option, just because of the fact that then Apple can kind of make accessories that'll work on your iPhone and your iPad. Now, we are also going to get a refreshed version of the Magic Keyboard with an aluminum frame and a larger trackpad, which is going to essentially bring this iPad, I feel, from an iPad standpoint to a laptop computer feeling device, because you're going to have an aluminum keyboard with the horizontal webcam and a bigger trackpad, similar to that of the MacBook lineup. Now, the iPad Air. So the one I have here is going to come in 2 sizes. So this is only the 10.9 inch, and this has been the only size option now for a while on the standard iPads. And if you wanted to get a bigger iPad, you had to essentially pay more and get the Pro. Now, Apple is expected to launch a 12.9-inch version of this iPad Air, and it's essentially going to be the same internals, just bigger. Now, as I mentioned before about the front camera being moved on the iPad Pros, the iPad Air is also going to get the same treatment and have a landscape camera, so it's going to be right up here versus being over here on the side, which is something that I know a lot of people just don't like or don't use often just because of the fact that it is kind of just in a weird spot, and it's also in a weird angle. So when your iPad is propped up on a desk or you're using an Apple Smart case like I do, when I have my iPad propped up on my desk like this, the camera is kind of just staring upward at the ceiling versus at me, which has definitely been an annoyance I have. And when I use my MacBook, I have control over what the camera's looking at, and if the camera was up top in the center here, it would definitely just be a better experience. And now this iPad does have the M1 chip in it now, so it is expected to gain either the M2 or the M3 chip in it, probably the M2 just from a price factor to keep it cheaper, but if Apple does want to future-proof it, as it's been over 500 days since we've gotten one, they might just throw the M3 chip in it, which would definitely be a surprise to all of us. And because it would be the M2 or the M3 chip, the iPad would bring a lot faster because it has this more powerful chip that can handle a lot more. And it would also get Bluetooth 5.3 and Wi-Fi 6E, similar to that of the iPhone 15 series, and that would also be brought to the Pro. Now, the regular iPad is also supposed to get upgraded, but not for a while. This iPad, it says, is not going to be updated until the later half of 2024, but then again, we haven't seen any iPads yet, so for all we know, this rumor may be completely wrong. And it's going to just have a faster chip in it, and I think the iPad 10th generation currently is the best iPad you can buy for a student or even really a creative, as you get that newer Apple Pencil experience with the, I guess technically third generation Apple Pencil, but it does come in at $80 for the Pencil, so it's a lot cheaper. Now, we also should get a new iPad mini, but again, that hasn't even been rumored until later this year, as it'll have a new chip with possibly an M series chip or an A17 Pro chip. We don't know, as we haven't heard any rumors of these, but they would of course bring Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3 to the iPad mini. And it would also help fix the jelly scrolling effect that is seen on the iPad mini. But overall, these upgrades are seeming to be pretty nice for the iPad lineup, just because of the fact that we haven't had upgrades in a while, and I know personally, as someone who wants to get the most out of his iPad, I would definitely consider upgrading. But let me know what your thoughts are with a comment down below, and while you're down there, if you want to hit like and subscribe, I'd appreciate that as well. But I want you to remember, today's a good day to make a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.